Juliana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
I
Thank you.
I am One with My Soul podcast, and welcome to you and to Brazil, where you are. Yeah, what?
Where in Brazil? You asked me. Sorry.
Yeah. Where in Brazil are you?
Okay. I am in a city called Guarapuava. It is small city, not so much, but it's a small city in southern Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
in the state of Paraná.
Just give us an idea of what environment you're in.
Oh, okay. Um, well, when we talk about Brazil, most people think of like a hot climate and a warm climate, and here we are in a colder climate. I live in a city, like most of Brazilian cities was built in what was the Atlantic forest, which still have there is still Atlantic forest, but it is another tropical forest. You were right the other day. It is not a temperate. I don't know where I took that from. It is another tropical forest like the Amazon, but um, while the Amazon has 80% of its original area, the Atlantic forest has only 7%. Most of Brazilian population is in the Atlantic forest area now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful natural landscape, but where I live is mostly buildings and homes and houses, so we don't have much of it left where I live right now. But a lot of effort has been made to recover, to reforest the Atlantic forest, and it is growing. Actually, it's very good news.
Wow, it's growing back.
Yeah, it's growing back.
Wow.
Slowly, but it is very. Uh, it is there is significant growing in protected areas and in new reforestation that it's been made. Yeah.
It's great to know where you're speaking from, but also I I know that the environment is very important to you, and important particularly around your work. So, do you want to talk a bit more about your your work
Yes.
and particularly the connection with the Atlantic forest for you?
Okay. Well, when I was in my early 20s, I went to live in Portugal,
Mm-hmm.
and at to that point, I wasn't involved into any kind of advocacy for the environment. I lived in Portugal and I studied social communications in college. And in Portugal, they also have a forest that is the unique place in the world. It is on Madeira Island. They have the Laude Silva forest, which is protected, and I saw people working for protecting their forest, and I had never thought of that here in Brazil, because I don't know why I was so busy with my life. I didn't think of that before, but so I studied social communications there, and after college I started working in a school with children, but I wasn't directly working in the teaching. In teaching, it was a musical school, and I was I got in touch with a very beautiful way of teaching children with music. And when I returned to Brazil, I started working as an English teacher, and I began working a lot with music in my lessons, and I started writing music, writing songs, which I, in a way that I had worked in Portugal. I worked with story songs, so I started writing my own story songs to work in my courses with children. The stories I write are mostly about man-nature relationships, and also very simple things that happen when we are in nature, how we feel when we are connected to nature. And at that point, I also was directed to the works of an American teacher called Ted Andrews. And Ted Andrews, he wrote about how voice and sound work in creating physical and spiritual balance. And he also wrote about animal. He was an animal expert. So what I work now in my courses is everything about the passions I've always had in my life: the music, the teaching animals, and working with children to achieve a greater balance in our lives, in our well-being, and also in the well-being of the planet in a small way, with keeping children aware of nature and aware of the importance of nature and animals, because we have such unique types of biomes in the world. And I have here where I live, we have a very unique forest. So I think it's very important that my students and children are aware of our relationship as humans to our environment.
So it's really fascinating, Juliana. So how
Thank you.
did you become aware that all of those, like the music, the storytelling, the children, you just knew that was your work? Like, how did you bring it all together?
Oh, no, I didn't know it was my work when I studied. Because I studied to be a businesswoman. Like my family, my mother, she wanted me and my siblings to be business people, because she didn't want us to go through any difficulty in life. So she thought the best way was for us to work in banks or in business. I don't know. And we grew being prepared to work as business people. I don't know. But when I got to college, I decided it was, actually, I didn't decide. It was like, I didn't get to any other course. The most similar courses I had at that moment to business was social communications at that moment.
Okay.
And so inside there, I went to arts and history and culture, and then in also languages, which is what I work now for a living. So but after I finished college, I decided I wanted to write because I had written a lot during the course, and I wanted to write, but I didn't want to be a journalist. I didn't want to do anything like to the business, and I really started nourishing my passion to work with children, because it was something I never paid attention. I had never paid attention before to be a work for me. I thought it was just something. I don't know. I didn't think I could work with that, but I felt it was really natural for me to work with them and communicate with children. And so I started investing, paying attention to working with them. And when I came back to Brazil, the only work I had at first was as an English teacher. It was like very, I don't know, so obvious and so natural. It was like a change in the way I saw how I could earn a living, I guess. I didn't have to be a business person. I could be anything I wanted, which could be a passion that I had, but never took it seriously to be a career path. Actually, the person who was so important for this was my spiritual coach at that time, 6 years ago, and she helped me see that I could be anything I wanted. She started directing me to this perception of that I could be anything I wanted, not only what people told me to be or what I thought it was possible. So I started working with my passions, with the things that made me happy, with being with children, with working for them, for their, trying to keep in them this relationship to the environment, to the animals. And I don't know, it was so many things that happened at that point after I finished college that brought me where I am now.
So it sounds like when you finished college and you worked with your spiritual life coach, everything just came together.
Yes, it started being very clear that I didn't have to be a business person, a businesswoman, like my family want. Not that they wanted me to be, but they prepared me to be. So
yeah,
it was a yes.
Yeah, I understand that. I've gone through a similar experience as well, and I'm sure many other people do.
Yes.
But the one thing that stands out listening to you is the clarity that you got in seeing all and recognizing all your passions and
Yes.
bringing them together.
Yes,
Through
for sure.
the music, the children, the telling the stories through music, and then your purpose of that. The stories are about nature and the environment, and
Yes,
yeah,
I think so. I think it was that and it was not that I was in the wrong path, because the college really helped me with a lot of things, with the writing and skills I practiced to to start writing and communicating and using ways to communicate through things that touch children's and people's hearts, like music or stories, which are very important for the things that stay with us when we in our paths. So stories are very important for children because they learn things. Not only, it doesn't have to be in teaching way. They learn things that are behind the stories without we saying. Each person, each children will learn differently from a story because they can understand more than it is said actually. So this is something Ted Andrews also talks about a lot, about how you write for children and for any kind of audience in a way that they will create a bigger lesson from that story. So this is a very interesting thing to do when you write, because you don't have to say everything you want to teach. Like if you want to teach something, it's not the word actually. You want to, when you write, when you work with children, and when we try to talk about things that we want to see a change in the world, we don't have to say everything, because we can create ways that the audience will transform that experience in something greater than what we say when we write or when we tell a story. I think it's a very good thing for me. I really love doing it. I really love creating the little stories in songs, or even if it's not a song, if it is a text, conventional story format. It's a very challenging to try to reach something that you don't know what it is. It will be created. You have an intention to do to tell a story about nature, the importance of nature in our lives, but it will have results that you don't even expect, because this is really something that it's really amazing working with children. It is always you can't predict everything that will happen. They are really surprisingly creative, and they do bigger things than you thought they would do. They teach me much more than I teach them, because I started a lesson with something, or I start telling a story with a purpose. They help me see many other purposes inside that story that I hadn't thought about. It is really about communicating something and creating something bigger from that together. There are results that we didn't expect. When I work with children, I'm always amazed with what they create. They give me. They have solutions for many things that we don't. Adults many times don't think of the solutions they think.
Wow, the one thing about doing podcasts is you can't see my face, Juliana. I've just got a permanent grin as you were talking, because it was just really magical, really, what you've been sharing and about children.
Thank you.
And what it also reminded me when you were talking about the guy Tad Andrews, did you say? Or Tad?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, because it just reminded me of in indigenous cultures, because indigenous cultures have used storytelling and music as a way of sharing their history, sharing their skills, passing on knowledge and information along within the community, but also part of their history.
Yes, Ted Andrews, he talks a lot about Native American storytelling, and throughout the world, actually, he talks about many cultures who used stories and the bardic traditions of storytelling, ancient ways of telling a story to. Yes, I took that, everything that I talked about. I took it from what I read from him.
And
yeah.
You mentioned before as well that you are wanting to reach out to indigenous tribes that are local to the Atlantic forest or near you. Can you talk a bit more about what your interest is with that particular group and how that ties in with your work?
Yeah, it is something that also came very naturally for me, that I live here in Brazil. My city where I live, where I was born, is in an area which was inhabited by the Guarani people, and it is inhabited up to now, today, by the Guarani people. But they live far from the cities because they have reservations, like in the United States and in other places. They have communities in the far from the cities, and the Guarani people have beautiful tradition with music as well, with the using of the sound of your voice, or the sound of an instrument, but especially singing, chanting, to create a togetherness with nature and with the rest of the tribe or the nation, and with the whole universe. They have beautiful cosmology. They have beautiful musical tradition, and they really use their voice in a sacred way all the time. And the little that the white man could understand from their culture says this, that they use their soul and their voice at each moment with sacred awareness. It's beautiful to be with them and to see how they live their lives, and how they do everything. How they use even silence, and everything they say, everything they do, to create the balance for their lives and their communities, and the nature, and the balance together with nature. It's very you can touch it. You can, when you are with them, you can really feel that it is their most important. The most important thing that we can see from their culture is that they really have this beautiful singing tradition. It's like life is a musical, but in a very pure, very pristine and sacred way. Being with the Guarani people, even if it is for a day, or I work with them, but not every day, and it is not not always it is direct work with them, because I work through an organization. that empowers their income creation through art, craft, and cultural displays. It gave me a deeper understanding of how you really can use your own voice and your sounds, chanting to create balance in our lives, because they really are very balanced in their environment.
Say a bit more. What do you mean by balanced in their environment and in their lives?
They can use the resources they have available in nature without destroying nature. Everything in their daily lives is calmly done, and they have indigenous peoples throughout the world have very different lifestyle than what we are used to.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are with them, you can really feel that peace coming from them, like their lives, everything they do. When you work with them, it is a different pace. It is when they speak something, when you talk about something with them, it is very thoughtful. It is very it's not careful. It's everything is purposeful, and they don't talk too much. Like, they only talk what they really feel.
Yeah.
That's the meaning of having your soul is the same. They say that a person's voice is their very soul. So it's totally, when you are with them, you can really feel that spiritual awareness all the time. It's different than living in a city amidst everybody's busy doing their works and not really thinking about what they if their work is what they are, is what is something coming from their hearts. I think being with the indigenous gave me a lot of awareness in the way the indigenous live differently. They live more peacefully. They even though they have a lot of influence from the civilized world, so to speak, but they have in their essence this peaceful pace and connected with everything that is around them in a careful lifestyle, respectful lifestyle with everything else that exists.
Inspiring to hear what inspires you and how that is a reflection of your soul in your work.
Yes, what I try to do is putting the passion I feel my soul has for the natural environment in to serve and to try to find ways that people don't forget who they are, that they are connected to nature. And for me, it's important to do that with children, because what happens is that while we grow, we are given a lot of things to forget all this connection we have with the natural world. I really feel that children are aware of that, and they are while they grow, they forget that, and so they are directed to other things. And what I try to do is just try to give them tools to nourish their awareness they already have, not to forget that they are connected to nature. It's the thing that I would like to see in my work is that when I talk to them, when in everything that I do with them, we always have the opportunity to explore the subjects of protecting the environment, protecting the place we were born, the unique flora and fauna. Can I say that in English?
Yeah. Flora
and
fauna.
And I feel that they are very aware that they have to do that, and they make plans about how they are doing that now. Many times, actually, they already know everything I'm exploring with them, and they have even better solutions than I am presenting them.
So
the problem is when a child grows up, they are given a lot of responsibilities and things, and you have to be a business person. So they forget the importance of this connection they have with nature.
So you talked about obviously what you're doing is like helping and guiding children to flourish within themselves and their connection to their environment.
Yes.
Through the storytelling that you work with them, but can you share with us a bit more about the your new adventure about writing a book?
Yes, I have had a Patreon page. Patreon is a site where artists can share their work, and I have a Patreon page where I share some paintings I do, and with animal totems information that I research directed at children. And so I am preparing a book which is a collection of this information that I have been researching. I have written about animals of the entire world, but I would like to. I am trying to give more attention to the animals we have here in Brazil as well. To find in the indigenous local cultures, to see which is the symbolic meaning of that animal, and I research on that, and then I write an article, a short article directed at children about the animals. So that's what I am doing.
Wow. And you also draw then, right?
Yes, it was a passion I had abandoned while I was pursuing my business career. I always drew as a child. I loved to draw, and then after I finished university, when I started writing the songs, I started I don't know how, drawing for the stories, and I think the drawings are nice now, and I'm ready to put everything together, the songs and the paintings. And also, while I am doing this work on animal totems, with the paintings I have been doing as well.
Wow, that's really cool.
Thank you.
It's just really lovely to hear you talk and about
Thank
how
you.
everything came together, Juliana. You know, like
Yes, yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, sorry.
no, it's and also what you did was you just took action and created business ideas. You know, like from it.
Yeah, I guess it was only when after I started after I was presented the idea that I could work with the things that were passions for me. I really got passionate about working with them, because we always think that the world we live in, they everything we have in the world says that we have to do a certain kind of a work. But when we discover that we can actually work with our passion, we really give everything, and everything come together naturally without we knowing how. It was not a plan. Everything came together really, as you say. I didn't see that it was like a plan. I don't know. Just everything just came together really.
That's really cool.
Yes, it is learning that you can work with with the things you have as passions, not only for money, or not only doing work because you think it's the only thing you can do, but when you know you can work with your passion, everything come together. It's true.
And also you're a great role model for identifying your passions and just going ahead and doing it, and then things will work out.
Yes, I don't know. My life coach, she said, you in the beginning, she said, you think you have to have music lessons, but you just start doing it. You don't put. So my life coach said to me, you don't put obstacles in what you want to do. You just start doing it, even if it is a small step. Today, just start doing as you can, the way you can. And it was what I started. I started creating music this way because I really loved music, and it was somehow natural to create melodies. And so I just had to put some lyrics, and it was a little step each time. And when you start doing something, then just you can't look at the obstacles. You have to just do it, because it is what your heart says for you to do. So you just, even if it is a small step each day, you get where you want to be.
And not let anything stop you.
Yeah, and don't let anything stop you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm not used to speak English. It's so difficult right now.
You're doing great. So
Thank you.
Juliana, if people wanted to contact you to find out more about your teaching, the Patreon site of your book and your artwork, what's your best contact details that you'd want to give to people?
Okay, I have a Facebook page on storytelling. It is Juliana Soares Storyteller. And I also have a Patreon page which is with my name, which is Juliana Soares. Only that for now.